Welcome to my True Scary Story YouTube channel. I want to welcome you all and ask that you subscribe now, comment on my newest video, and introduce yourself. The Sinful Society is very welcoming and are some of the nicest people on YouTube. I narrate these stories for all of you out there, and I want you to share your true scary stories with me so I can feature your scary story on an upcoming video. Cheers to the freshest horror content on YouTube. Be sure to email me at thesinfulsavant@gmail.com. I will leave a link to my email in the description box below as well. That way you can send your story after the video. Sit back, relax, stay sinful. For context, I was 26 and I am female. I needed gas and it was around 11 p.m. on a Saturday. I pulled into a busy gas station to fill my tank, except it was completely bare, not a car in sight. I also live in Alaska, and it was very cold this night, maybe minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit. I was tired after work, just wanting to get home. Usually I start my pump and sit in my car due to the freezing cold. But this time I had a weird feeling that I needed to stand by the pump, so I did. I just started pumping my gas when a little golden sedan pulled up right next to me. A guy got out, and I was feeling hypervigilant for some reason. He started cleaning his completely clean windows. As he put back the squeegee, he started towards me. I felt like I wanted to run, but stayed calm and continued pumping my gas. He asked me if I would help him put windshield wiper fluid in his car because he ran out and he doesn't know how to open his hood. I laughed it off and told him I don't know either, which was a lie. He kept getting closer and closer to me while trying to lure me into his car by saying there's something under his seat he can't reach because he is too large. Now I'm 5'2" and petite. This man was large and scruffy. Think Alaska wilderness man. At this point, I'm freaked out. I hit the call button on the pump. He took a step back and started to go back towards his car. I thought I was being smart. My gas is almost done. I looked in his car when I noticed the insides of the doors had no handles, except for the driver door that freaked me out. I was putting the pump back and opening my door when he was right behind me. Slammed my door shut and yelled, "You're coming with me." Obviously I refused, and I was petrified. He grabbed my arm and slammed me against my car. I elbowed him as hard as I could. I started to scream at the top of my lungs. Thank God for the gas attendant with a large gun that night, because if not for him, I don't know what would have happened. The attendant pulled the video. We made a police report. I called immediately after that guy took off. I never heard anything else about it. I just hope he didn't get some other girl alone. So to the guy with no door handles, let's not meet. A few years ago, I moved to a relatively remote part of my town with my boyfriend. We owned a small section of land behind our home, which consisted of the woods, a creek, and general shrubbery. I would take my dogs out there every day for walks, and one day I came across what looked like a campsite where a homeless person would live. There was a basket full of sticks, and what I assumed was being used for firewood, a mattress, blankets, and tarps. It looked relatively kept, so I assumed someone must be actively staying there. I went off in a different direction and decided to stay away from that area. I told my boyfriend about what I came across that day, and we were trying to figure out what we should do to eventually remove the person, as this was our land and we didn't feel comfortable having someone camping out so close to our home. We sort of forgot about it for a few months, until one day I was walking past the area again with the dogs, and curiosity got the best of me, so I went to have a snoop. Once again, I found the same layout, though much more unkept. There were some leftover food items and the remainder of a fire. I quickly left. The same night as I was waiting on my boyfriend to get home, I was in the kitchen cooking and facing the window that looked out towards the woods. I thought I had seen someone standing next to a tree, but it was so dark, and I have horrible eyesight, so I didn't try to overthink it. But then I actually started thinking. Our home and property was fenced, and that little campsite I saw again today. I freaked myself out. Could it be the person that was staying there? I knew someone probably was, but I didn't think they'd want to show themselves, if that makes sense. I carried on cooking and thinking on it, hyping myself up in a bad way. I kept looking around but couldn't see anyone, so I hoped it was just anxiety and my overthinking. Then, there was a knock at the back door. We had a curtain covering the window on the back door, so I couldn't see who was knocking, and I wouldn't be able to see from the window where I was standing either. I went to the door and moved the curtain. No one was there. The dogs had started barking at that point, which if you have dogs, you know that when you feel anxious, them barking can freak you out even more. I had my Alexa playing music, turned her off to be able to hear things better. The dogs were barking in the front room at the windows, but still I couldn't see anything. I shut the curtains fully then and calmed the dogs down, but I was feeling very, very uneasy. Suddenly a noise came from the kitchen, like someone was jumping across the door. The dogs started going crazy again and ran to the kitchen. I went after them. The door kept jittering and moving. Someone was trying to get in. The pole that was keeping up the curtain fell, and I saw a man wearing what looked like a white face mask, some sort of cover to conceal his face. He kept pushing on the door, and I was hyperventilating at this point. If I left out the front door, he could run and get to me in seconds. So I left the dogs downstairs and ran upstairs, locking myself in the bathroom. I felt so scared. I was scared for my dogs. I called the police as I could hear the back door being hit and the dogs barking so loudly. I remember how I haven't even been able to tell the police my address before the noises stopped, and I could just hear the barking, but no more bashing sounds. I was momentarily convinced he had gotten inside, but surely I'd be able to hear some sort of struggle, as my dogs were two large German shepherds, yet there was nothing I could hear. I told the police about the homeless person who lived in the woods. They had a look in the area and couldn't seem to find anyone or anything suspicious. That was until a few weeks later, when myself and my partner, along with the dogs, walked down to that campsite again to see if it had been abandoned or not, on the slim chance they had something to do with the break-in, and we found this. The white mass that I spoke about before, how I couldn't tell what it was. It was hanging on a tree. Gloves and boots were hidden in a bag which we found by the creek, soaking wet. Apparently all this wasn't there when the police went down there that night, though the campsite for the first time definitely looked abandoned. We sent pictures to the police who came down and looked after, but even though they had all this evidence, safe to say nothing was ever done about it. Most likely as there was no successful break-in. We got everything removed from the campsite and taken away in a skip. Who knows what would have happened if the back door gave way? I still worry thinking about it. It's left me with a lot more unresolved anxiety than I already had. This happened to me in high school when I was in 11th grade. I was 16 years old. The street I lived in was in New York City and was a pretty small street, so you can hear anything that happens at each end of the street. You can hear kids laughing, kids falling from bikes, and etc. This is an important detail for the story. Another important detail is the house I lived in only had one front entrance to get inside. The front entrance had 2 doors, a screen door, which was the first thing an outsider would see when they approached my house, and a wooden door. Both had locks, so no one can just open the screen door unless they have a key. I note this due to all the videos I watched online of people just yanking screen doors open. I was living alone for a month and it was pretty fun and mundane. My parents were living in California at that time due to work. One day while I was on my computer doing something, there were these strong knocks on the screen front door. I left my room and approached the front wooden door cautiously. I'm easily an anxious person, and it does not help that I kept watching crime doc videos. The person on the other side knocked on my screen door once again. I peered through the peephole of the wooden door and could see this white middle-aged man just standing there moving his head side to side, and his body was doing those jumpy movements that people do when they're standing and waiting. I decided to open the door a little, thinking the screen door was going to protect me anyway, and asked him, "What's wrong?" The guy instantly responded, "There's been a car crash. Please come out here and help me. A kid that was riding his bike was run over." I asked, "Where's the car crash?" The man responded, "Down the street, over there." He pointed to one of the ends of the street. Remember how I said the street was small and I could hear anything, even a kid falling from his bike? I sure as hell would have been able to hear a car crash. The second he said that, my guard immediately went up, and while I was quite scared, I was also pissed off for some reason. "Call 911. I don't know why you're coming to me, but call 911. The guy pushed on with what he was saying before and asked me to come out to see the car crash with him and to see if there was anything we could do to help. I remember saying, "Call 911, or I'll call 911. They'll be able to handle this much better than I can." I then closed the wooden door and locked it. If you're wondering, I didn't call 911. I just went to my room and watched YouTube videos. I know, weird thing to do, but I was just trying to calm myself down because at that point my heart was beating so fast. I kept looking at the time. I forgot what specific time it was, but I remember it being in the afternoon. The sky was bright blue at least. I waited for a few hours when I was sure the man had left. I went back to the front entrance and opened the wooden door, made sure no one was there, and opened the screen door to see the car crash at the end of the street. Why did I do this? I wanted to truly make sure that there was no car crash. I know I said I would have heard it, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't ignoring an actual thing that I just happened not to hear. There was nothing there. No kid and no crashed car. Just the usual street end that I am used to. At that time I felt a sense of relief. It's only a few years later when I thought about this moment again and realized that guy may have had some malicious intention for me. Good thing I kept myself level-headed and realized there's no way there could have been a car crash without me hearing it. God knows what would have happened. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Please be sure to leave a like on this video as it helps my video perform at a much higher level. I left my email in the description box below, that way you can send me your true scary stories. Without more true scary stories coming in, this channel will not succeed. I need you all to do this. Do me one favor, send your stories. Until we meet again, stay sinful.